Let us talk about data types in this video. To be precise, we are going to emphasize more on primitive data types. For that, let us create a file in our data types folder and call this p_types.js. As we have seen in previous video on variables, while assigning a value to a variable under the hood, those values have a specific data types assigned to them. And with that, we are going to understand these data types in details. Starting with string. So what is a string? String is a sequence of characters. For example, your name is a string. But how do we know, or how do the program understand that this is a string? We have real representations of string, and let us see that in an example. So let us declare our variable var, and we can call this name and assign a name to this, and we can call this a PD. So we have our name, a PD, but we are representing this using a single quotation. This is just one way of declaring a string. Let us see another examples of how we can declare and initialize a variable using the string data types. So var, we can call this greeting, and here we will say hello, but in a double quote, hello. This is another way that we can declare a string, and let us see the tail way that we can have a string representation. So var, and here we will have message, and in our message we can have a backtick. So backtick, and here will be welcome. We can have a template literal and call this maybe name, which will be Peter. So now we have seen the 3 ways that we can represent or declare a string in a JavaScript. And there are a few reasons of which we might want to choose one over the other options. And let us see a below example. Take for example, we have a message, or we have a string that contains a double quote. So let us say var, and here we will say m. Let's just represent this with like let us see, yeah, we can say a, and in here we want to have a double quote, and we are saying this is the video on data, or we want to cycle our data types with a double quote, and we can say DATATYPES. Data types. So now you can see, let us create a space here. Okay, now this look better. As you can see, the A variable is storing our string, but in this case we are having an error here. It's because the code or the program is getting concluding at this first, after this first double quotation, it comes up to on and close here. So now the program do not recognize the data types as a string anymore. That's the reason we are getting an error. So to resolve this issue, one way is to have a single quote, and we can just let us just copy this to make our life easier. Let's say, yep, we can copy this, and in our single quotation we paste this, and now this is a valid code. If we want to see this, let us try to print the variable a. So we can say console.log, and let us say a. Let's save this and go to our terminal. Okay, so our terminal, let us see. Okay, we have one folder called p_tab, so we can say nodemon, ODEMON, and say p_type tab. If we save this, now we can see this, this. Okay, we have an error here. Let us remove this, and then we can say this is okay. So this, let us save again. This is the video on data types. So now the single quote, because of the single quote, the double quote is been or captured as a screen. Another way is to use a template later. So for that, we can use a batik in the position of the single quote. So let us remove this and have a batik, and here we can have our sentence. If we save again, we should see it just work fine. So that's the reason we might want to use double quote in some cases, single quote in other cases, as well as batik. So that does it for a screen. So let us move to our second examples on a number data types, which is primitive, BER as numbers. And I would love to comment this out. So let us comment this first examples on screen. Now we have numbers. So numbers in JavaScript comes in two forms. We can have integers or floating point numbers. And to see that in an example, let us have var, and we can say age, and in age we will have 35. So this is an integer data types, but it is fall within the category of numbers. Another way is to say var, and we can say salary, and salary is 300 and point 38. Okay, let's just have this. So now we have a floating point digits. 300.38 is the salary, and also we have the age as 35. So remember the difference. We have an int and also a floating point of values, but they are considered to be a number. So that does it for a number. Let us move on to another data types called bigint. Bigint. And for bigint, the difference between bigint and the numbers is that it takes larger values. For example, in this int example, we have limitations. So let us uncomment this to see what I'm talking about. And we will try to print this console.log age. And let us save this. Now we have 35. Everything is working fine. But imagine we want to have a number that is very large in this saving as this int. Let us save this. We should see an error in our console. So we save. Okay. So if you notice, we have the value is not the same. If you notice the last digit here, we have 9, and in our console we have 0. And even the second we have 4, and here we have 5. So you will understand that as we start to have longer values as a number, it's going to have some level of an error. So let us even increase this further and save. Save. My bad. Let's remove S and then save this again. So you see the representation below. So, but if we look at this thoroughly, there should be a mistake in this code. And in order to resolve this issue, to have the exact number, we are going to save this as a bigint. And so we will comment this out and go back to a bigint. And here we can say var. And here we will have a bigint. And bigint will be represented with n, smaller n. So now this is valid. If we try to print this now, we should receive the exact value without any changes. So let us console console.log and then bigint. Let us save this. now you can see the same value as now you can see the same value that we have in the bigint. So this is the difference between a bigint and number, and to be precise, int. And another difference is that the bigint cannot be a decimal. So if we have a decimal in this, we should have an error. So you see immediately it is yelling at us that this is not a bigint. So these are a few things you need to understand of bigint. So that is for it. And let us move to another data types called boolean. So B-O-O-L, let's have boot. And boolean is just a binary of values, true or false. There is no other value that is attached with boolean. We cannot represent booleans as numbers or string. So to represent that, we will have a var, and let us say is true, and here we will have true, and that's it. And let us see for false, var is false, is false. So these are the two representation. We had a little error. Okay, these are the two representation of how we can declare a boolean in a JavaScript. So just binary options, true or false. So let us comment this and move on to another data types called, let us say undefined, U-N-D-E-F-I-N-E-D, undefined. And undefined is very, very interesting. And this is, we have undefined a data type whenever we declare a variable without assigning any value to the variable. So let us see what I'm talking about. So we can have var, and we will say number, UMBE, and UM. Let's just have num. So now we have our num of variables, and then we didn't assign any value. Remember the difference between variable assignment or initialization than just declaring or defining the variables. Here we assign a value. That's why we have the equal symbols in between. But below, we just have the variable being declared, but not assigned. So if we try to print num, we should have undefined. Console.log num. Let us save this. Now you can see undefined in our console. So this is undefined. And let us comment this and move on to another called null, null. So null also is a data type, but the difference here is that we have variables, but it is not, it have no value internationally throughout our code. So we can just assign that to a null. So let us see an examples again. And here we will say width, and we can have null, as simple as this. And that's it. This is how we define and initialize our variable using null data types. So let us comment this and move on to, so let us see. Let us reduce our terminal. So we have discussed a screen. Also, we have discussed number, bigint, boolean, undefined, null, and we can also talk about, okay, let us see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have one more data types to discuss, and that will be, let us say symbol. So we have a data types in JavaScript called symbol, S-Y-N-B-O-L, symbols. And symbol is a unique values. It is also immutable. Consider symbol to be a unique ID that cannot be changed. So let us see. And one of the use case of symbol is in when we want to have a key value pair. For example, in objects, which we are going to discuss in later videos, we can use symbols to have a unique values in certain positions, or to represent a certain values. So let us see the symbols, how we can declare and initialize the symbols of data types. So let us say var, and here we can have symbols SYM, BOL. Remember, this is in lowercase, so equals SYM, BOL symbols. So this is how we define symbols or data types. So if you want to understand the immutability aspect of symbol, let's try to have a screen in here and call this screen my key. My key, and let's just try to copy this. We don't have to retype this. We can copy and then paste below my key and my key. So we will not change the variable to symbol 1 and symbol 2. So if we console log symbol SYM symbol 1 is equals to symbol 2, now we should have false in our terminal. So let us display the terminal and then save this. Okay, we have some errors here. What is happening? Symbol is not defined. Okay, so symbol is not defined. Where do we have symbols? Okay, SYM. Okay, SYMB. We should have B instead of L. Man by B. Okay, so let us save this again and check it out. Now we have false, even though we have my key, but these values are unique. So this is a symbols, and with this we come to the conclusion of our data types. And in latest video we are going to see non-primitive data types, which will be arrays and objects. So with this, I will see you in the next video.